Part 43. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 426. Chapter 426 Front and Rear Pinch. A Dead Silence. Vertex Novels, Handwriting Novels. A golden core stage great treasure cultivator was instantly swallowed up by immortal slaying vine. This lust shape is more unbearable than the death of the golden bell and the shapeshift great art great treasure by Weisuo, because by this time, 2/3 of the cultivators were killed, but most great treasure most cultivators are still not seen by Weisuo's people. Like all the cultivators in the class, their great treasure is not afraid of danger, and most of the great treasures have also killed the monster beast, which is higher than their own, but not afraid of danger and facing such a situation that makes them feel difficult to overcome. Abnormal opponent is not a single thing at all. I quit, I don't want your spiritual stones anymore. The cultivator of a higher thought division realm first layer cultivation base suddenly collapsed. After shouting such a surging sound, he immediately ran off the escape light with an escape light. Who dares to escape? This is the end. However, the cultivator just turned and flew out less than 10 feet, and a silver arrow light smashed his upper body directly. Xuanhuan, holding the Star of Divine Palace, couldn't tell the embarrassment. So many people were killed by this immortal slaying vine. An elder of Eastern Jade Paradise suddenly burst into surging sound. 500 years ago, one of the most great sects in the west of heavenly profound continent, the great treasure Xuanhuan and a rogue cultivator enemies, killing the rogue cultivator, and the result was that the rogue cultivator killed more than 200 people, after which the great treasure Xuanhuan the rogue cultivator, which killed more than 200 cultivators in one breath, was also named Azure Reverend. Now, regardless of the outcome of the game, the results of Eastern Jade Paradise and Star Convening Sect are almost the same as the great treasure Xuanhuan, because 2/3 of the thought division realm and above cultivators have fallen into Wei Suo's hands. Just shut up. Reverend Changfeng stunned a surging sound, and at the moment he was also full of the urge to vomit blood. With so many elite disciple and elder cultivators, the accumulation of Eastern Jade Paradise for hundreds of years has been destroyed in this way, and it has been ruined by this person's conspiracy. You are closing now, obediently leaving this secret place, and remembering the conditions I have proposed 2 days ago. I still have time. At this time, Weisuo coldly surging sound was transmitted from below. Leave this secret place? I am Eastern Jade Paradise and you are irreconcilable until death. Today is not your death, or I am dead. After Reverend Changfeng trembled, he screamed wildly. Longfeng fellow deist, let's calm down for a moment. At this time, there is no good secret place for us. Xuanyazi, who had never had a word, suddenly said the sentence and reached out to create a soundproof divine light screen, which covered Reverend Changfeng, Xuanhuan, and Reverend Diaosha. Inspired by this one soundproof divine light screen, Xuanyazi saw Reverend Changfeng and Xuanhuan and other people one eye, in different way. You fellow deist, this sun divine ability we have experienced, this sun of divine ability is indeed far from the general golden core layer cultivator above. Then you are what kind of want to shapeshift great art, is to end this person decided a life or death, or to accept the conditions of this person and the man. Consultation? This is naturally impossible. Xuanyazi's voice just fell. Reverend Changfeng was already excited and screamed. If you don't kill him, my Eastern Jade Paradise definitely has no shapeshift great art in the cultivation world. This person must be removed. Only by getting some good secret places from him can it be possible to recover some losses. Xuanhuan also nodded immediately. His face said. Reverend Diaosha, what do you mean? Xuanyazi did not say anything, but looked at Reverend Diaosha and asked such a sentence. Reverend Diaosha snorted a little and nodded. If Xuanyazi fellow deist wants to fight, I want to try it out. After all, I don't say anything else. It's just a few pieces of shapeshift great art great treasure in this hand and the shapeshift great art of this immortal slaying vine. It's worth a try. Since the great treasures have unified opinions, I naturally want to fight together. Huang Yazi nodded and glanced at Han Wei and Reverend Chang Feng. But this person divine ability has surpassed my imagination. Even I have the possibility of degeneration. So when I deal with this person, I am also good. Last good secret place. This is nature. When I deal with this person, all the good secret places, how are we divided? Reverend Chang Feng was still amazed at Wei Suo, but at this moment, Eastern Jade Paradise suffered such a heavy blow, but he was already crazy, and he said immediately. All right, Han Wei and Reverend Diao Sha didn't hesitate and nodded immediately. Immortal slaying vine, I have seen it in an ancient book. It is exactly the same as that of Admiral Fellow Deist. It can only grow up to 350 feet, but only a few plants, obviously more than 400 feet. It is obvious that this person does not know what the shapeshift great art can stimulate the growth of immortal slaying vine. Huang Yazi took a look at the three people and went on to say, and this one obviously has the shapeshift great art array that controls immortal slaying vine. It is impossible for us to slowly get rid of immortal slaying vine from above. True Reverend Diao Sha's eyes flashed coldly. As long as I don't start immortal slaying vine is attached to the naked body below. We are also difficult to attack. If he landed these immortal slaying vine, we would have to face so many immortal slaying vines strangulation. And the shapeshift great art below Dao rank, there is no shapeshift great art hurting this kind of vine. Huang Yazi nodded. So to deal with this person, there are only two kinds of shapeshift great art. One is to have a shapeshift great art that can stimulate the spiritual chi, or we can break from below the mountain naked body. Look at the lust shape of this person's Dongfu, it should be in this mountain naked body. In this mountain body, these immortal slaying vine should not feel our breath. To take a step back, even if you can feel it, these immortal slaying vine poured into the mountain naked body, this small night mountain and his cave house, also equivalent to all self-destruct. Shapeshift great art great treasure that can inspire spiritual chi? This shapeshift great art great treasure, I don't have it, do you have fellow deist? When I heard Huang Yazi say this, Han Wei's gaze was immediately violently flashing. Immediately, 2 slave bags and 2 strange black iron characters were taken out. The 2 smashing madness is that I borrowed from the spirit beast palace prepare for his bandit monster beast with these 2 earth attribute monster beasts, it should not be difficult for us to enter the mountain naked body of this small night mountain. Can you stimulate shapeshift great art great treasure from spiritual chi? Reverend Diao Sha was also in the heart of his mind, reaching for a shot on his treasure receiving pocket and taking out a cyan root like a ginseng. Clearwood ginseng. When I saw Reverend Diao Sha taking out the rhizome, Huang Yazi's eyes suddenly appeared a bit different. True Reverend Diao Sha nodded and said, this was originally the same as the fellow deist intercourse I was prepared to use with the cultural would attribute shapeshift great art for other culture materials. Right now, you can use secret place. This clearwood ginseng should at least allow immortal slaying vine to attack you without shapeshift great art within an hour. Huang Yazi sighed a little and said, in this case, then the 3 of us will bring some people, set the shapeshift great art from the distant secret place, and you will attack in this secret place. When we hear us inside, when you start it, you will attack and kill it. You will be attacked on both sides. How do you see it? All right, Reverend Diao Sha glanced at Huang Yazi. But this is a very deceitful one. If you find it wrong, you will probably take it away or kill it directly, so there must be some shapeshift great art that hides divine consciousness, so that he doesn't find you out. There was no problem. It was good to first dig the tunnel by Han sect master controls. When I dug it almost, give us a signal, and I and you and fellow deist left the secret place and entered from the passage. Before that, I and Reverend Chang Feng also stayed in this secret place to lure the enemy. Huang Yazi took a look at Han Wei. It doesn't matter if you dig into the secret place anyway. Nice. In this case, The acting is really true. Hearing Huan Yazi, Han Wei also gritted his teeth and swept out the soundproof divine light screen. He said to the surging sound, great treasure in the valley below, our star convening sect is planted today, and now late stage is looking forward to fellow. Deist well water does not make river water. Oh. If you really don't want to find me trouble, I naturally can't ask you for trouble. Wei Suo's amazing surging sound was also immediately transmitted from below. Star convening sex cultivator, follow me. Han Wei also did not answer, directly issued such an order, and directly flew out in the direction of coming. After hearing such an order, I saw my sect master flying away. All the star convening sect cultivators naturally didn't dare to stay, and they all followed the pale face. The remaining cultivators hired by star convening sect, after a little hesitation, followed up first, but they all intentionally fell behind, and after flying out, the several hired cultivators, but they all fled to the 4 secret places and fled. These few cultivators, but they don't want star convening sect to be murdered by star convening sect in order to cover up the pale face of today. After flying out of the 6 or 7 miles, Han Wei suddenly made a gesture and then slowly descended toward the forest below. Search for it, there is no such thing as immortal Gu. Refining it, seeing that there were only less than 20 cultivators behind him, Han Wei made this order, while the naked body shook and unconsciously, and it was another burst of anger. Sect Master, what are you doing? It was also the face of the great elder Songyang who stopped at Han Wei. In the strangulation of immortal slaying vine, the great elder of Eastern Jade Paradise survived. Do you think I really will leave this way? Han Wei's surging sound said, we have already agreed, the soldiers are divided into 2 ways, we first dig a passage in this secret place, leading to the inner night of the night, when the 2 sides smashed, killing this person in one fell swoop. Great Elder Songyang opened his mouth, but did not say anything, just nodded silently. Han Wei's scheming, strategy, in peacetime they are the elders of the unusual admiration, this plan if in other times, to deal with others, he may feel Han Wei very wise, indeed not he can end, but at this time, the thought of Wei Suo and just those immortal slaying vine easily kill those cultivators seen, do not know why, he is now in the heart, but is a kind of ashes to think, hope Han Wei this decision, don't make any mistakes. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 427. Chapter 427 Entry Hole. Above the Night Mountain, Huan Yazi, Reverend Chang Feng, Reverend Diaosha and the remaining 20 cultivators are constantly performing a variety of shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art, slamming down vertex novels, handwriting novels. Although beyond the scope of divine consciousness, the attacks on shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art are disorganized and purely aimless, but so many high-level cultivators apply shapeshift great art, and the surging sound is amazing. From the far secret place, it seems that the endless heavenly fire keeps pouring down the night mountain, and the night mountain is also constantly emitting heaven-shaking surging sound. Wei Suo, these guys won't endless. Would you like to give them an annihilation golden core? Anyway, if you can bomb the next 2 golden core great treasure cultivators, it is not a loss. Inside the valley, Han Wei couldn't help but scream at Wei Suo, who was depressed. There were many attacks on the top cultivator, but many of the mountains and rocks were also bombarded, especially the attacks by the 3 golden core cultivators, which were very great treasure threats to immortal slaying vine and the mountain naked body. Han Wei and Wei Suo and others still need to intercept the shapeshift great art and the shapeshift great art great treasure from time to time. If so many cultivators do not hesitate to hang on to True Yuan's constant bombing, it is really possible to wear the stone, and slowly cut this small night mountain. This group of people is very likely to be fraudulent. Hearing Han Wei, Wei Suo is looking at the flames of the sky above the sky and flowing through the thick fog, a thoughtful look. Is there a fraud? Ji Ya looked at Wei Suo and frowned. Wei Suo, you suspect that Han Wei is not really leaving. Is there any intrigue? Before this guy left, he was plotting with the 3 golden core cultivators for a while. And the guy who wore a yellow shirt and used the water attribute shapeshift great art great treasure that exceeded the power of Deo rank high grade, obviously came with him. He should have come to deal with us, but now he is gone. This guy is still above. Wei Suo nodded and said, I think this guy is definitely playing tricks, maybe it's going to find the more powerful golden core cultivator. What should I do? Do you want to use both annihilation golden cores and kill them all? Han Weiwei licked his mouth and looked very violent. You are an unworthy rotten egg when you are an annihilation golden core, so you can be embarrassed. Annihilation golden core can't be used at such a long distance, otherwise the sharpshift great art and shapeshift great art great treasure powerful energy will be intercepted. Wei Suo looked at Han Weiwei with a look at the defeated sun. There were only 20 golden core cultivators in the south of Heavenly Profound Continent. Even if they were all killed, there would be a refined into annihilation golden core. This kind of thing, if you have one more on hand, you will have one more life-saving cost. You don't have to use it, so fierce Han Weiwei whispered, what do you say now? Let's look at the lust situation first. Anyway, if they really have a powerful helper to kill it, it must be set up by shapeshift great art. It is impossible to be so stupid and slammed for 10 days and a half. Wei Suo looks like a veteran. When the time they wait for them to attack, it is really necessary to use the annihilation golden core, then use the annihilation golden core. However, in order to prevent the lust situation that cannot be dealt with by the annihilation golden core, it is still necessary to make a good run. You should first collect the things in Dongfu and bring them to the treasure receiving pocket. I will first collect the things that have fallen from these killed cultivators. It is shameful to know that waste is. I have seen everything inside, and they have enough to get it. It is more interesting to collect the things outside. I still collect these things with you outside. Anyway, there are so many things left outside, you will not be able to finish it for a while. Maybe the guy's intrigue is really coming soon, and when something is too late to be taken away, it's shameful to waste. Han Weiwei heard Wei Suo say so, his eyes are stunned and stunned. Good. Seeing Han Weiwei, Wei Suo didn't say anything, and handed the Deo rank high grades golden defense shapeshift great art great treasure to Han Weiwei. Originally searching for and collecting things with Wei Suo's divine consciousness and mystic fiend ghost claw is extremely fast. But at the moment, there are more than 100 high-level cultivators who died in the Night Mountain. The things that fall from these cultivators fall down all over the mountains, and some treasure-receiving pockets don't have much spiritual chi fluctuations, plus this time the top is countless shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art great treasure are banging, and the secret place is an explosion. It is not so fast to collect things. Moreover, under such lust conditions, some of the shapeshift great art and the treasure receiving pocket dropped on the ground may not be immediately taken away, and may be damaged by the upper cultivator shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art great treasure powerful energy. And there is a defensive shapeshift great art great treasure by Deo rank high grade, plus Han Weiwei has a golden shapeshift great art great treasure on hand, plus her Xiao Yin, let her here secret place in the small night mountain where the flames are blown up. It should be very safe. Wei Suo, then we are advanced to collect the things in Dongfu. You and Han Weiwei should be careful. Old great treasure, you are even better than Azure Reverend, you kill them and keep them. After saying this sentence separately, Ji Ya, Zhen Chongming, and Zhu Xiaochun first turned and plunged into the cave. Wei Suo and Han Weiwei immediately slid against the ground and quickly picked up the shapeshift great art and treasure receiving pocket, which were dropped from the cultivator. The outside Wei Suo and Han Weiwei are like the autumn wind sweeping leaves, all the shapeshift great art objects falling on the ground, regardless of whether the rank is good or bad, just put it up and say it. And Dongfu inside, Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun is more thorough, and Jia will be some artifact refinement, concocting pills materials and utensils, including quiet room inside the silver grass blanket and other supplies have been collected. Anyway, Treasure receiving pocket enough, two people even they custom made a can be divided between the house, are beginning a income between the treasure receiving pocket inside. Zhen Chongming, the boss who helped us make this house pit us when he was collecting these houses, Zhu Xiaochun suddenly said such a sentence. Pit us, Zhen Chongming, who was charging a quiet room to the treasure receiving pocket, suddenly screamed, "How come us? You listen, this house actually has the surging sound of kaka-kaka." Zhu Xiaochun said depressedly, "This shows that the house is not reliable. Maybe it will be retracted twice, it will fall apart." At the beginning, this boss promised that no matter how many times it was retracted, there would be no problem with moving in and out. You said that this is not to look at our honest people? I thought we were stupid. That is, we are so powerful with the old great treasure that we are stupid. Zhen Chongming suddenly burned in anger, but he suddenly shook his head with some doubts. "Zhu Xiaochun, it seems wrong. How does this surging sound come out from the underground, not the surging sound of the house? What? Underground sounding?" Originally standing on one side, I was waiting for the two men to go out and meet with Wei Suo immediately after the house was finished. The face suddenly changed. "They attacked from the underground bandits, go quickly." "Wei Suo, what's wrong?" At the same time, Han Weiwei, who was collecting things, suddenly found Wei Suo stopped and rushed toward her, her face with a look of uncertainty. The two golden core cultivators seemed to be gone. Wei Suo pointed a little upwards. "They haven't shot for a moment. Do you mean that there is only one golden core stage cultivator on it? Then can we kill it?" Han Weiwei suddenly brightened his eyes. "Hey!" At this time, a crack suddenly appeared on the ground of Dongfu. Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun looked at each other as if they were awake, and immediately followed Ji Ya toward a channel in the back. At the moment, the best choice for the lust scene is to take it directly from the front exit of the Dongfu exit, and then immediately launch the shapeshift great art great treasure. Wei Suo will definitely find out immediately. But the cracked ground on the secret place is near the passage, and it is very likely that it will be intercepted immediately if it passes through the secret place. It's just a simple duo of this great treasure brain. I may not think of this in a hurry, but the reaction between Ji Ya and the moment is extremely correct. Ka. Almost as soon as the figures of Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun followed the disappearance of Ji Ya at the passage, the rock on the ground of the secret place suddenly burst into a great treasure block, and then the two grey-colored monster beasts were draped. The rock was drilled from below, and there was a hole in the back that was wide. At first glance, these two monster insects look like two great treasure lobsters, and the shape of the lobster is very imaginative. They all have a head wrapped in a hard shell, a naked body with a section, and two tongues, but at a closer look, this monster beast has 4 legs in addition to the 2 pliers, which looks very powerful. Han Wei, Huang Yazi, and Reverend Chang Feng also swept out of the cave immediately after the 2 animals were drilled, and more than 20 star convening sect cultivators came out. Want to run? As soon as the figure appeared in this mountainside, and saw the remaining houses that were not taken away by Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun, Huang Yazi's eyes immediately showed a strange look, but almost at the same time, he sent out a surging sound. A yellow light rushed out of his hand and slid into the passage that Ji Ya and others walked. Hong. In the valley, Wei Suo and Han Weiwei are both looking up at the sky, and they are still talking at the intercourse. Suddenly, the Xiaoyu mountain seems to shake from the inside out. Inside the mountain naked body, a surging sound, heaven shaking, the sound of surging sound. This is not good, they don't know how to get into the cave. Wei Suo's face suddenly changed, and as soon as the figure moved, she flew past the secret place at the entrance to the cave. Want to go? Not so easy. But at the same time, a golden brilliance fell from the sky above and headed for Wei Suo. Today, I am going to take the time to visit the great treasure student who has been on a business trip to Wuxi for more than a month, but I have never had time to meet. So today I only have this. The next update is coming tomorrow. Great treasure. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 428. Chapter 428 True 1-to-1. Wei Suo's face suddenly changed, and he quickly pointed his finger. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. Dang, a surging sound burst, only see the door flying sword immediately gold, yellow two-color brilliance great treasure, and this black gold brilliance hit together. In the surging sound, the flying sword of the doorboard just shook a little, but the golden brilliance was smashed up and flew up. This golden brilliance is the long golden long knife of Reverend Diao Sha. From the hard-hitting lust shape, its powerful energy is obviously worse than the Wei Suo's flying sword. After the Uyghur long knife was blown, Wei Suo didn't lift his head, and a black antiquity ominous fire had already been sent from his hand and spurted upwards. Immediately, he and Han Weiwei did not stop at the secret place of the cave entrance. Pu. I saw the Lingzi-like black fire in the thick fog above, suddenly blocked by something. At the same time, a blue water curtain suddenly appeared in front of Wei Suo and Han Weiwei. Chi. The long golden knives that had been beaten up and down have also fallen back to the top of Wei Suo's. The black gold brilliance from the knife is still a few feet long. It seems that the powerful energy is not as good as the Wei Suo's flying sword, but the material of the tire naked body is also excellent. Even if it is hard to fight with the flying swaying sword of Wei Suo's. Damage. Seeing such a scene, Wei Suo's face suddenly gloomy. Dang. After reaching for a stroke, the flying sword of the door panel again smashed the handle with a long golden knife. At the same time, the black light column of a black antiquity ominous fire and the black bone dark lord behind him hit the blue water curtain that blocked him and Han Weiwei, and shot the blue water curtain one by one. The gap between the length and width of the left and right. It seems that what has been said to Han Weiwei immediately passed through the gap after opening the gap. The black bone dark lord next to Wei Suo was also dressed in the past, followed by Han Weiwei, and disappeared into the secret place of Dongfu. After Han Weiwei and Black Bone Dark Lord swept into the secret place of the Dongfu entrance, the blue water curtain was a surging sound, like a great treasure river, which turned into a great treasure. However, Wei Suo did not follow the entrance to Dongfu, but his face looked gloomy and looked up at the sky above his head. Reverend Diao Sha, who is thin, is in the secret place, and looks at Wei Suo without a lust. The flamboyant black gold long knife floated in front of him, and the shape-shift great art great treasure, which was shaped like a bamboo raft, floated on top of his head, constantly squirting a group of thick black and blue water. I don't see any movements of Reverend Diao Sha, but the blue ancient talisman in the right hand suddenly bursts open and turns into ash. You are also very responsive, knowing that if you fight with me here, even if you deal with me, the people inside will definitely be killed, but I may as well tell you that there are two golden core stage great treasure cultivators from Huang Yazi and Reverend Chang Feng, and Han Wei with 2 pieces of Dao rank high grade shapeshift great art great treasure. The golden core cultivator, and the rest of the above cultivators, have also moved from the underground passage to the inside, and it is useless to launch immortal slaying vine at the moment. Do you think that this thought division realm female cultivator, plus your shapeshift great art great treasure, is useful for rushing reinforcements? Still not going in and sending to death. While the blue ancient talisman was grayed out, Reverend Diao Sha pointed his finger to the top and suddenly surging sound. Reverend Diao Sha said at the moment that, thanks to Wei Suo's divine consciousness, it has already felt that the remaining cultivators above are no longer there. At this moment, the roaring surging sound of the mountain naked body of Xiaoyu mountain is constantly changing. It is obviously already in the shape of shapeshift great art, but when I hear the words of Reverend Diao Sha, Wei Suo's face is also unrecognizable. You want to mess with my mind through such words. There is no secret place, however, you are also a great treasure second cultivator of golden core second layer. It is also my predecessor. If you are my predecessor, I can talk nonsense with you. Even if they are not opponent, they can resist it for a while. If you get together, I will kill you. It will take a lot of effort. Now you are alone and die. It is just right. While speaking, a surging sound of the slamming sound, only Wei Suo's door flying sword smashed toward Reverend Diaosha. At the same time, his eyebrows revealed 1,000 purple glow, but the golden core also directly sacrificed. Oh! Then I have to look at where you are from such a great treasure. Reverend Diaosha has no surging sound on the surface, and there are countless azure rays in the mouth, and a small azure golden core, a goose egg, immediately rises from his mouth. Hong! Immediately between the two, a surging sound heaven-shaking surging sound was issued. I saw Reverend Diaosha. This is a basket's-like shape above the head of the shapeshift great art great treasure spray black water vapor firmly against the Wei Suo's door flying sword, and its golden core sunlight condense and Wei Suo golden core sunlight condense of purple heavenly dragon one hit, he golden core sunlight co-endence fishing immediately shattered, but immediately after the black golden knife cut, it is the Wei Suo has been powerful energy great treasure minus purple heavenly dragon from beginning to end split. This handle gold long knife is obviously also the powerful energy of Dao rank high grade. With this knife, Reverend Diaosha and Wei Suo hardly fight the golden core's lust, but it is not at all disadvantageous. Under the face of an intercourse with Wei Suo, Reverend Diaosha great treasure took a deep look at Wei Suo, and both hands were calm, a red shapeshift retouched like a very long fish spine. Great art great treasure, which came to his hands. This shapeshift great art great treasure is like a long whip, with a length of 7 or 8 feet, but each section is only half an inch long. With the true Yuan of Reverend Diaosha, this strange shapeshift great art great treasure suddenly dissipated, and each section was turned into an inch-long red flame, suspended around Reverend Diaosha. And this red flame is so wide that it looks like Reverend Diaosha seems to have ignited thousands of candles. Wei Suo's flying sword when these red flames smashed through, these red flames were smashed, but they quickly condensed into their original appearance, and the powerful energy did not see much loss. At this time, Reverend Diaosha's surging sound, but also spewed a great treasure group true Yuan. This group of true Yuan singularly spreads out and breaks into the surrounding flame. This candle-like red flame is suddenly stretched and slender, and it has formed numerous fire lines in the air. It seems that there are countless red fishing nets. If I am not mistaken, your Dao rank high grade shapeshift great art great treasure is on those two female cultivators. Now that the shapeshift great art great treasure is not there, you have Dao rank high on hand. Above the attack on shapeshift great art great treasure, there is only this flying sword. If you have the shapeshift great art great treasure above Dao rank high grade, you will definitely use it when you concentrate on so many people together. It is absolutely impossible to keep me, unless there is loss. Sexual precious shapeshift great art. After completing this shapeshift great art great treasure, Reverend Diaosha leisurely continue to inspire golden core, and the appearance of a fishing when, face no table lust look at Wei Suo Wei, it is said that you have ancient annihilation golden core, but I have this fish dragon spirit Marnet, is said to be able to restrain this kind of shapeshift great art device, and then detonated it. I have never encountered a cultivator such as the ancient treasure of annihilation golden core. If you are interested, you can also sacrifice it and help me verify this shapeshift great art great treasure. While talking, Reverend Diaosha's hand suddenly flashed white, and a white, translucent long cable suddenly appeared directly on Wei Suo's side, and immediately tied Wei Suo. This semi-transparent long rope is draped with a strong great treasure of the dragon breath, and looks extremely tough, very flexible, seems to be made from the ribs of some kind of monster beast. And this shapeshift great art great treasure is obviously the teleport class that binds shapeshift great art great treasure, and Reverend Diaosha, the golden treasure cultivator of golden core second layer, seems to have more than Yeling, and its right enemy is also more careful and more cunning than Yeling. When this long cable hits Weisuo, it immediately tightens sharply. At the same time, Reverend Diaosha's black gold long knife and the golden core sunlight condense fisherman rushed towards Weisuo and instantly reached Weisuo's N. Seeing that it is already a full advantage, but the pupil of Reverend Diaosha is a slight shrink. Because at this time, Weisuo is actually a pair of hands, and it doesn't move, and I don't want the controls to fly the sword and the golden core. Reverend Diaosha is very clear in his heart. Divine ability, which was shown before Weisuo, is at the top of his own. It can only delay the time and can't kill Weisuo's. His current intention is to do everything possible to hold Weisuo, so that Huang Yazi and others inside will kill other people and then kill him. Pu. Just as the heart of Reverend Diaosha was in doubt, Weisuo had a silvery brilliance on his body, holding a translucent long cable. At the same time, Weisuo, who is still a faceless lust, has a slight movement, a black light flies out, and immediately a red light is emitted from the top of the black light. Hey! Let Reverend Diaosha's hair swell in the pores of the hair, only to be shot by this red light, the golden core condense fishing angling suddenly smashed, and the Weisuo's door flying sword hardened without damage. The long golden knives, but also the brilliance is obviously dark, obviously damaged. Without a slight pause, I saw a surging sound, Weisuo's flapping sword and golden core, which directly smashed the blue-black water vapor from Reverend Diaosha's shapeshift great art great treasure. The bamboo body of shapeshift great art great treasure has been made into several pieces. Then, the flying sword and his golden core were on the golden core of Reverend Diaosha. Ah! Reverend Diaosha squirts numerous blood cheese in the pores of the body as the two planets collide with the violent shock and the surging sound. Good ruthless calculations. I can't think of the shapeshift great art great treasure that you have such a powerful energy on hand. Shapeshift great art great treasure, this naked body is fragile, and it will only be a straight line attack. It is useless to be evaded, so you don't dare to rush, so wait until you can harden it. But you are still a step. My fishing shark, also the shadow shift great art great treasure of Dao rank high grade, the impact of your flying sword and golden core, is almost the same, so that I can really control the true UN without shapeshift great art. So you still can't kill me. At the same time, Reverend Diaosha's sturdy surging sound also came out in succession, a blue glow, shot from the golden core that he flew backwards, wrapped around him, seems to be carrying him immediately, amazing speed to go. At this moment, Reverend Diaosha can be said to be completely clear. If Weisuo's made a full blow this time and shocked him without shapeshift great art to control true UN, then he could barely use golden core block, so that he has only one end, that is, the golden core is constantly being bombarded, and the living is shocked to death. But at the moment, the power of Weisuo's long-planned attack is still a little bit worse. But if you want to understand and understand, you can't escape, but it's one thing. I saw that at this time, Weisuo just kept the door flying sword and golden core slamming toward Reverend Diaosha, while at the same time, a group of unusually colorful brilliance suddenly appeared. On the side of Weisuo's shapeshift great art. As soon as the giant butterfly with its unusually colorful color appeared, it was immediately awkward, and it sprayed a great treasure to the Reverend Diaosha. Upon seeing this scene, Reverend Diaosha's surging sound suddenly stopped, and his face looked unusually scared. I saw that this group of mucus sprayed, he had already been rushing back to the naked body, but it was a hard-hitting pull, and paused. That is the case, Weisuo's door flying sword and golden core, once again bombarded on his golden core. Just a little. Because of the full control of golden core, Weisuo has no shapeshift great art at the same time to stimulate the powerful antiquity ominous fire, but this shapeshift great art has become the last one of the camel that crushed Reverend Diaosha. Straw. Hong. Wei Suo's door flying sword and golden core were just bombarded. Rune on the Reverend Diaosha golden core was completely broken. The naked body was also like a thunder of lightning, and finally couldn't control his true Yuan. Hong. I saw Wei Suo's golden core once again slammed on the golden core of Reverend Diaosha, and his flying sword, this time, was shot on Reverend Diaosha, who had almost no resistance. It is obvious that Wei Suo still deliberately left the hand, and the flying sword of the door is still relatively light. But this time, the entire chest of Reverend Diaosha is also completely sunken. Without stopping, Wei Suo reached out and grabbed the golden core and translucent long cable, which quickly faded Reverend Diaosha, and lost control. It still turned into a long fishbone reddish shapeshift great art great treasure caught in the hands. Immediately, reaching out, the black blood-feeding shapeshift great art knife was inserted into the chest of Reverend Diaosha. After that, Wei Suo also had no half-point pause, and directly swept forward, and after grabbing the handle, the already damaged black gold long knife and the split bamboo-shaped shapeshift great art great treasure were captured. The body of Reverend Diaosha was rolled directly, and it disappeared into the secret place of Dongfu. Because yesterday you fellow deists said I card at this time less and more unkind, then this chapter of the number of words I am kind, to compensate for the great treasure home injured heart and originally today I was prepared to die the face of the more leave less, because the daughter wanted to even the word of the place to come, but I finally still can't boil my heart, so today is to prepare the side of the cow fork with daughter side code word. And this chapter is coded until 2:09 in the evening. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 429. Chapter 429 Hematmesis Impulse. The shapeshift great art knife, like the Annihilation golden core, is the bottom of the Wei Suo press box. The Vertex novels hit the novel, but now consume a golden core first layer cultivator's chi and blood, and exchanged a golden core second layer cultivator's chi and blood. Wei Suo is no loss. However, Reverend Diaosha, the name of the golden core second layer great treasure cultivator, is now located in the cultivator of the hillside of Xiaoyu mountain, but no one knows. Hong. With the sound of a surging sound heaven shaking, Ji Ya, Zhen Chongming, and Zhu Xiaochun retired from a martyr with a huge great treasure with a lot of gravel. After I quit, I saw a little white but white Ji Ya immediately reached out with a hand, a black light came out, wrapped around her and Zhen Chongming, Zhu Xiaochun. This group of black spiritual chi is full of black water lotus under the cultivation of Wei Suo and defending powerful energy to Dao rank. Just as Ji Ya was rushing to inspire black water lotus, a group of white light rushed out of the ramp in front of the three, but it was a huge wave, rushing into a crystal light from Ji Ya's golden shapeshift great art great treasure. On the light column, a surging sound of pa, only a slight stalemate, the golden crystal light column that had already been cracked was immediately broken. The powerful wave of reduced power rushed to black water lotus, and the black brilliance from black water lotus was stunned for a while. The resulting column of the impact is sprinkled out of the water column of the giant treasure leg, and hits the surrounding stone wall. The surrounding stone walls are as easily torn as the tofu. Originally, Ji Ya and others were just a square but a dozen feet. It was like a small hall with stone chambers. There were several ramps in front and rear, but they were washed by these water columns. The stone chamber collapsed, but the whole stone room was the child is great treasure several times. The water column slammed into the four walls, after the numerous stones were laid, and the powerful energy was exhausted and turned into a great treasure. The water of a great treasure beach flowed down the stone wall, and the water in the whole stone room suddenly accumulated a foot. How deep, along the rear of several lower-lying ramps left, sent out a sly water surging sound. After the huge waves came out, the yellow light flashed in the ramp in front of the three people, but the figure of Huang Yazi holding the heaven overflowing river scroll was displayed. At the same time, the pressure of a giant treasure emerged from a ramp in the rear, and the figures of Reverend Changfeng and Han Wei appeared. Seeing this scene, Ji Ya's face suddenly became more white but white. That kid seems to be really good for you. At this moment, the shapeshift great treasure of the teleport class is on you, but can you escape now? Reverend Changfeng, who looked gloomy, looked at Ruyi exquisite pagoda in the hands of Ji Ya, and murderous aura said it. Longfeng fellow deist, don't talk nonsense with her. If Reverend Diaosha can't drag the person, we are also more troublesome. However, if you can eat oysters, you can give birth to this woman. When you deal with that person, you can also make it refrain from shooting at the rat for fear of breaking the vases. Yuan Yazi said this faintly, and the heaven overflowing river scroll in his hand is Guanghua's great treasure. N. Seeing Huang Yazi want to motivate this shapeshift great treasure to deal with Ji Ya and Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun, but at this time, Huang Yazi was suddenly eyes flash and turned around. Immediately, a huge wave rushed out of this different great treasure of Huang Yazi and rushed into the rear passage. Hong. The entire Xiao mountain was a fierce earthquake. I saw a golden light and a black light blocking the huge waves. The entire passage collapsed immediately and formed a great treasure. Senior sister, are you okay? With the surging sound of a surging sound, Han Weiwei's figure appeared on the other side of the rocky passage. The Black Bone Dark Lord, surrounded by black brilliance, stood behind Han Weiwei without any sense of glory. I only deal with this woman, Longfeng fellow deist, Han sect master, you solve the speed. Huang Yazi glanced at Han Weiwei, whispered the sentence, and reached out with a little cyan-shaped shapeshift great treasure. This piece of cyan shapeshift great treasure Tong naked body seems to be jade, the appearance of Sinorama, but there is a silk wisp of rune. Huang Yazi true UN consistent note in, this piece cyan small ruler is like golden core distributed out of a cyan rays, soon these rays also like golden core sunlight, formed a brilliant bright cyan lotus. Chi/P. At the same time, Reverend Changfeng and Han Wei on the other side have already met with Ji Ya, Zhen Chongming, and Zhu Xiaochun. At this time, a surging sound in a cracking sound, Han Wei has inspired star-falling divine arrow, a blazing silver arrow shot at Ji Ya. Reverend Changfeng is also reaching for a stroke, and there are countless astral wind condensed shapes, and the surging sound is amazingly swept away by Ji Ya and others. I saw a golden crystal beam on the golden shapeshift great treasure in the hands of Ji Ya. It was struck with the silver arrow light. It was like a top cow, and the powerful energy was quite dead and stagnated in the air. Two brilliances, one red and one yellow, also emerged from the front of Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun, and they were played on the dragon and tiger by Reverend Changfeng. Pa/P. These two brilliances were immediately crushed by the mighty dragons and tigers, but then the dragon and the tiger hit the black water lotus, and black water lotus trembled a bit, but it was able to withstand it. On the other side, as Huang Yazi reached for a stroke, the green lotus condensed on the cyan ruler turned into a streamer and hit Han Weiwei. Hong. A white swaying wave, like a giant, leaned up and swooped toward Han Weiwei. The air between Han Weiwei and Huang Yazi shook a bit, and a black light column spurred by Black Bone Dark Lord collided with Cyan Lotus, both of which collapsed. Black Bone Dark Lord, this powerful attack is also a powerful energy with Dao rank high grade shapeshift great treasure. At this moment, it is equivalent to the power of Qing Yang, which is condensed by Huang Yazi. This is obviously Huang Yazi. In addition to this heaven overflowing river scroll is a half mystic rank shapeshift great treasure, there is also a Dao rank high grade shapeshift great treasure. A bucket of gold thin thunder light, head condense a violent lion head shape, it is directly in the top of the cave out of the air, the hustle and bustle fell in the waves of Huang Yazi. A group of splashes and thunder light smashed and rushed to Han Weiwei. But outside Han Weiwei's body, a golden mask emerged. The powerful energy great treasure hit the golden mask for the reduced waves, but it just shook the golden mask. 2 pieces of Shao rank high grades shapeshift great art great treasure, and it's 1 attack and 1 defense. This powerful energy with black enamel is also equivalent to a Dao rank high grade shapeshift great art great treasure, and it seems to have a spiritual shapeshift great art great treasure that does not require special controls. You are so amazing that the Dao rank shapeshift great art great treasure is really unimaginable. The general great sect adds up, but there are not so many high score shapeshift great art great treasures. NENA half of mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure and Dao rank high grade shapeshift great art great treasure were blocked by Han Weiwei, but Huang Yazi's face was still a well thought out lust. His eyes stayed on the 2 golden shapeshift great art great treasures in the hands of Han Weiwei, and a smirk smile appeared in the corner of his mouth. But you think that with your thought division realm first layer cultivation base, is my opponent. Speaking of this sentence, a group of yellow light condense in front of him, even at a surprising speed gathered into a yellow meta treasure. Huang Yazi's pride is not without reason. Between the golden core stage great treasure cultivator and the thought division realm cultivator, there is a cloud of mud and it has a surprising gap. Now Han Weiwei has 2 pieces of Dao rank high grade shapeshift great art great treasure plus black bone dark lord. The powerful energy is 1.5 mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure and a Dao rank high that can withstand Huang Yazi. Great shapeshift great art great treasure. But the golden core great treasure cultivator's shapeshift great art powerful energy is compared to the thought division realm cultivator without shapeshift great art. And the thought division realm cultivator can only control 2 shapeshift great art great treasures at the same time, with Han Weiwei's true UN power, and simultaneously motivate 2 pieces of Dao rank high grade shapeshift great art great treasure, which is already at the limit, even if there is no other Shao rank shapeshift great art great treasure, and there is no ability to push it again. Now Huang Yazi can see that the shapeshift great art clothing on Han Weiwei is definitely do rank powerful energy, but at this moment Han Weiwei is obviously beyond the reach of shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art. Powerful energy is also motivated. In his opinion, as long as his own metal attribute, shapeshift great art, is issued, plus 2 p-shift great art great treasures on hand, the next one should kill Han Weiwei. But at this time, let his eyes suddenly incredible read treasure, Han Weiwei's side of the magnificent light flashes, but suddenly there is a more 2-3 years of powder look tender the little girl looks like that. Is there a little girl? Not far from the secret place and Ji Yat and others, shapeshift great arts Reverend Chang Feng and Han Wei looked at it, and suddenly the eyes bulged. What the hell is this? But almost at the same time, Huang Yazi and Reverend Chang Feng and others changed at the same time, feeling the terrifying smell of the little girl. This kind of scent is very strange to Huang Yazi and others, but without exception, among them, this atmosphere contains at least 2 words, strong great treasure. Pu. As soon as the little girl appeared, it immediately sent out a silver column of light, which was shot by Huang Yazi and looked extremely heavy. It seemed that the massive great treasure cast by countless yellow essence metal hit together. And this silver light column and this yellow meta great treasure hit, turned out to be powerful energy equivalent, and the yellow UN great treasure collapsed together. Monster Beast. This is what Monster Beast, the shapeshift great art powerful energy is so tyrannical. /P. At the same time as Huang Yazi reacted, there was a horrified look on his face. Xiao Yin, hey. Seeing this scene, Han Weiwei, who was originally nervous, was also a courageous great treasure. He shouted a surging sound and inspired 2 golden shapeshift great art great treasures. At the same time, he sent out a bright white ice dragon. With Han Weiwei's cultivation base at this time, when playing 2 golden shapeshift great art great treasures, even antiquity ominous fire has no ability to motivate, only to stimulate ice dragon true secrets, which is relatively low cost wearer shapeshift great art. Ice Dragon True Secrets. This kind of shapeshift great art is based on the cultivation base of her thought division realm first layer. In the face of the golden core great treasure cultivator, the power is naturally not worth mentioning. But at this moment, Xuanhuan also sacrificed two shapeshift great art great treasures at the same time, and the shapeshift great art, which was attacked by Primal Chaos Yunwei and Blackbone Dark Lord, and two pieces of Dao rank high-grade golden shapeshift great art great treasure. Next, it is already almost the limit, and there is no ability to use the golden core again. At this time Han Weiwei and Dao technique shapeshift great art, he had to deal with it. In this way, what made him unbelievable was that he found out that he was actually suppressed by Han Weiwei. A golden core great treasure cultivator with two strong great treasures is actually a cultivator that can't deal with the thought division realm first layer. Xuanhuan, who has never put the cultivator of the same level or even the golden core second layer in his eyes, is full of impulses to vomit blood. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 430. Chapter 430. Xuanhuan has no threshold to come in. What is this monster beast? Is divine consciousness even stronger than the golden core priest of golden core first layer? It's sick, it's a monster beast above the level 7, and I still wear a shapeshift great art dress that doesn't slip. At this time, Reverend Changfeng's face is also unnoticed, and there is also the urge to vomit blood. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. In Xuanhuan instead was Han Weiwei repression of the moment. Do shapeshift great art experience very foot Reverend Changfeng immediately a meal, all out launch a divine consciousness pressure, but in addition to Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun obviously affected, temporarily froze not to be able to cast surgery shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art great tree sure, Jiya and Han Weiwei are unaffected. Jiya obviously blocked his divine consciousness pressure on his own, and the reason for Reverend Changfeng is not hard to imagine. Dong Qing's body was a Brahma, and it fell into the hands of Wei Suo's. Wei Suo used the speed to talk and laugh in front of him, and insisted that Dong Qing'ai escaped successfully, which led to the disaster of today. Han Weiwei was not affected, but because of the monster beast of the white and tender little girl next to her. Reverend Changfeng's divine consciousness pressure was completely inferior to its divine consciousness pressure. Divine consciousness was over, and Reverend Changfeng's own heart was trembled and felt like this little girl's monster beast. Very incomparable Pang great treasure, and I am very small. Look at my shapeshift great art great treasure. Ice Dragon True Secrets. Han Weiwei is more comfortable, and in peacetime, every time you stimulate shapeshift great art great treasure and shapeshift great art, it is a surging sound. At this moment, she did not think that at this moment, she could completely suppress Xuanhuan and also went to great treasure. At first she did not release her primal chaos Yunwei. If it wasn't for the first time Xuanhuan felt that she and Blackbone Dark Lord had arrived, I was afraid that Blackbone Dark Lord would take a chance to attack, and directly turned around to inspire Heaven Overflowing River Scroll and fight directly with her shapeshift great art, if it was in the usual time. The secret place, really only she and Xuanhuan single on one, do not first release Primal Chaos Yunwei, she is definitely a dead end. What is this shapeshift great art great treasure? At this time, what makes Xuanhuan and Reverend Changfeng and Han Wei unexpected is that Jiya opened the mouth, but suddenly there was a blue core bead. This core bead is as small as the great treasure, without the unique golden light, core chi, and rune of the golden core. However, the core bead is sacrificed, and the temperature in the entire cave is extremely reduced. Its powerful energy is also obvious. At least the power energy of the shapeshift great art great treasure by Dao rank. And this core bead doesn't go straight like the ordinary shapeshift great art great treasure. It turns out that the golden core like a cultivator is generally flexible and extremely flexible. I saw this core bead, which was covered with ice and blue light, and wandered around in the air, bypassing a tornado column inspired by Reverend Changfeng, and directly hit the back of Xuanhuan. Ah! Fellow deists, save me. At this moment, Huang Yazi was almost able to withstand the attack of Han Wei and Black Bone Dark Lord and Primal Chaos Yunwei. When I saw this one, core bead came, and the most calm Huang Yazi suddenly fell into disarray. Reverend Changfeng and Han Wei Great Treasure screamed. Chi! Reverend Changfeng 10 fingers and 1 bomb, 1 and Wei Suo's door flying sword almost Great Treasure small cyan wind blade suddenly appeared in front of him, under a flash, suddenly disappeared from the place, blocked behind Huang Yazi. Jiya's blue cold core doesn't seem to dare to fight with the cyan wind blades, and has taken it back. Huang Yazi escaped, but his face was as ugly as the pig liver. Shame ah! In the face of the attack division realm cultivator attack, the golden core stage great treasure cultivator, which has 2 strong great treasures, is forced to save lives. If at this time the ground cracked a slit, maybe he would have to drill in. But also at this time, hey! Hey! The number of surging sound cracked, and a lot of cracks suddenly appeared on the ground on one side, and then the rocky ground really collapsed. The appearance of the 2 heads is similar to that of the great treasure lobster, but it is obviously better than the great treasure lobster. How many times the soil gray cracked the shards, and the gravel that has been arched out is very aggressive from the ground. One of the cracked shards also used a pair of great treasure pliers to clamp a great treasure block of stone, like a simmered scorpion, and it tasted like a good taste. As these 2 cracked grounds were smashed out of the ground, splendid light flashed among several channels in the rear. Just a few moments, more than 20 cultivators appeared. Obviously, at the beginning, Jiya used Ruyi Exquisite Pagoda to run, but it was caught up by Huang Yazi and Reverend Changfeng and Han Wei, and blocked in this secret place. At this moment, the rest of the cultivators have already rushed up. Pu. These 2 looks very fierce cracking and smashing out of the ground, it seems that immediately clear the enemy and friends, directly to Jiya squirted 2 groups of mouths great treasure small yellow light. Senior sister. Han Wei's surging sound exclaimed surging sound, only Han Wei presented a white shapeshift great art mirror with a handle. This surface, which looks like a very quaint white shapeshift great art mirror, is actually a white light that floats out of countless feathers and forms a beam of light. With this beam of light, the gold crystal beam from Jiya's golden shapeshift great art great treasure turned out to be a powerful energy great treasure, which could not stop the silver arrow light on Han Wei's star falling divine arrow. Silver arrow light and 2 groups of mouths great treasure small yellow light impact on the black water lotus outside Jiya. There have been some small breaches of black water lotus directly hit a basin like great treasure small the whole came out. Then there was Yu Wei's silver arrow light and 2 groups of Huang Guang hit Jiya's body without stopping, and Jiya was left to leave Chen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun, and then flew out. Jiya, who flew backwards, flashed silver and yellow brilliance. It seems that under the protection of the powerful energy of shapeshift great art, she did not suffer any damage, but at this time she and Han Wei etal the face of the person is not half stained. Han Wei's white shapeshift great art mirror's powerful energy is so weird that it seems to make shapeshift great art great treasure powerful energy instantly down to rank 2. Now this shapeshift great art great treasure comes out, just Reverend Changfeng and Han Wei, Huang Yazi, she and Han Wei are also unable to hold on, not to mention more than 20 great treasures in the thought division the cultivator above realm will be released immediately. Seeing that Jiya was flying out in one fell swoop, Han Wei's mouth suddenly showed a cruel sneer. Regardless of Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun, he pointed to a point and immediately ignited star falling divine bow again, ready to give Jiya a hit. But at this time, a surging sound of Ka suddenly smashed a surging sound, and the rupture of the carapace ruptured in the mouth. 4 feet stretched out and stiff. A surging sound of boom, another cracked and snarled, seems to suddenly go crazy, and suddenly went underground. Immediately, the ground of the entire cave violently vibrated, like an earthquake. Seeing this lust shape, Han Wei suddenly flashed a look of suspense, and paused. it should be the bandit monster beast of that person. At this time, Reverend Changfeng was the first to react. Under a surging sound sternly shouted, more than a dozen Science wind pillars fell on the stone ground beneath the cracked cock. Hong! I saw that the ground was immediately smashed out of a deep pit of more than 10 feet. A group of earthy grey things were slammed in the rock and fell to the ground. It was the cracking of the head. At this time, this level 5 high level cracked the ground and a clear hole on the head. It is obvious that it is completely angry. Among the Science origin chi powerful energy and the rock, there is a shadow that is almost completely transparent than the watermelon slightly treasure, and it is also jumped by Reverend Changfeng's full blow. Chi. At the same time, a cyan wind blade from Reverend Changfeng just happened to be on the body of the group, giving a surging sound dull, like a surging sound in the skin. This group of things has a faint fluorescent flash, clearly showing an octopus-like figure. But after being hit by cyan wind blade of Reverend Changfeng, after hitting the ground, this group of things was again yellow chi, as if there was no damage, and quickly sank into the ground. Mind-devouring bug. Seeing this scene, Reverend Changfeng, Hanwei, and Huang Yazi are filled with incredible light. Mind-devouring bug is just a monster beast of level 5. It is not necessarily able to be defeated in the face of a crack slap. However, at the moment, the two sides of the crack snarl were actually a blink of an eye, and they were killed by the mind-devouring bug. How could this mind-devouring bug have the ability of bandits? How can there be such a high level of defense? Can you withstand such a blow and be safe? At this moment, the three people recognized Wei Suo's monster beast is mind-devouring bug, but they can't figure out how this mind-devouring bug, how could it be so powerful? Wei Suo. As soon as I saw this mind-devouring bug, Jia and Han Weiwei's eyes were filled with surprises, and the vividly surging sound. It's really a great treasure. You don't go, Huan Quan has no way to come in. Since you are looking for death, you can't blame me. With a surging sound of a very cold and cold sound, was a scream of a surging sound, and more than 20 of them were not close to the cultivator of the battle group, and suddenly fell into chaos. Get out of the way. Otherwise it will be tied to the bottom. A cultivator jumped up the bottom of the bloody rushing foot, and this time the cultivator, which was struck by the bottom of the foot, jumped up and felt as if it was suddenly stiff like a stone, and the hard state fell to the ground. At the same time, a black lingzi-like fire suddenly came out behind the three cultivators without warning. The three cultivators had a faint look on their faces. Even the screams did not emit a surging sound, and they were immediately burned into ash by the black fire. These changes made Han Wei's face suddenly white, and he couldn't reach more than he thought. A silver arrow spurred the place where the black lingzi flare came out. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 431. Now we should be able to talk about it. Wei Suo looked at the real ginseng with a trembling look and said indifferently. What do you want? Tianchen said calmly, his face extremely ugly. I think some things are better if we say it alone. Wei Suo looked at the middle-aged white-shirt monk and Zhenbaoch, and said very deeply, when I talk to you, I don't want other Zongmen people to be here. Next to. Good. After the real face of Tianchen was somber for a while, he made up his mind and generally nodded, then looked at the middle-aged white-shirt monk and said, let all of you leave the treasure hall. The middle-aged white-shirt monk's body trembled, but he didn't dare to have the slightest nonsense. He didn't even dare to look at Wei Suo, so he turned and plundered into the treasure pavilion. After a moment of time, he and dozens of shop assistants all walked out of the jumbo pavilion and bowed their heads to leave. Slow down. Wei Suo swept down from the air and landed not far in front of this group of people. He said indifferently, I let you leave, but there is nothing in the treasure hall that you have not taken away with you. Apart from the clothes, the rest of the nabeo and magic utensils are all left to me. If you dare to hide anything away, don't blame me." Hearing Wei Suo's words, the middle-aged white-shirt monk and other people's faces were even more gray, but these people did not dare to have any nonsense, nor did they dare to show any unpleasant expressions. After all the things on his body were taken out, he left the treasure hall as soon as possible. "Ten Shenzhenren, please." After all the things taken out by these people were put away, after Wei Sao said this to the real person of Tianshan, he walked into the treasure pavilion. After hesitating for a while, real Ginseng also gritted his teeth and walked into the hall of Jumbo Pavilion ugly. Since the real Ginseng is so cooperative, then he opened the skylight to speak brightly. After watching the ugly real Ginseng come in and stand still, Wei Suo stood beside Ji Ya and Han Weiwei, softly facing Ji Ya, and after Han Weiwei said a few words, he looked at Tian Shenzhenren quietly and said, "Now Tian Yumen has two choices. One is to stay with Danjiao Resort and continue to be our enemy. The other choice is Hedong. Yao Yao puts aside the relationship. In this way, maybe we can turn it into a jade silk. You are really a Jindan monk." Under the siege of Danjiao Resort and Juxingzong, dozens of monks who besieged you have also killed the real person of Changfeng. The real person of Tianshan seemed to calm down a little at this time. Did not answer Wei Suo's question, but asked such a sentence. Wei Suo didn't speak. He reached out a little and directly turned the Ganoderma-like archaic fierce fire out. At the same time, he also released his consciousness with all his strength and slammed toward the real Ginseng. There was a horrified look on the face of real Ginseng, and he opened his mouth, but for a while he was speechless. After a while, a real smile appeared on the face of real Ginseng. "If my answer today does not satisfy Daoist friends, I am afraid that Daoist friends will never let me go back to the gate of Tianyumen alive today." "That's natural," Wei Suo nodded and said without hesitation. "If Tianyumen wants to be an enemy of me, and you are here, of course, I will try to remove a Jindan monk first." Tian Shenzhen smiled bitterly and said, "Since the Taoist is so powerful, and said so, of course, I can only accept the proposal of the Taoist and set aside the relationship with Danjiao Resort. It is just the condition of the Taoist. It must not be so simple. I want the income of the treasure pavilion in the past 3 years, and then the treasure pavilion will be handed over to you to take care of it, but the big treasurer is still Ji Ya, and all the spirit stone income, we have to account for 80%. Wei Suo looked at Tianshan, gave a real glance. "I shouldn't consider this condition excessive." "There is no problem with this condition." Real Ginseng frowned, saying, "But Jumbo Pavilion mainly deals in elixir. Before Li Shaihua was proficient in Dandao, he had a group of alchemy disciples under his hands, but we are a master but there is no alchemy master, and if this treasure hall is handed over to Tianyumen to take care of, we are afraid that we cannot reach it." "You don't have to worry about it. Ji Ya will come up with some Danfang. You can also choose a few disciples with alchemy talents and let him teach. If this is the case, we Tianyumen cannot naturally refuse this proposal from Daiyu. But let us admit that the murder of the treasure pavilion has had a great impact on our Tianyumen. This matter should at least be covered up." "Go on," Tianshan real man said a little helplessly. Wei Suo glanced at the real Ginseng and said, "As long as Tianyumen has nothing to do with Danjiao Resort, this matter can all be blamed on Danjiao Resort. You can pretend to be completely unaware." "Okay." Hearing Wei Suo said, Tianshan real person gritted his teeth and made a general decision, saying, "On behalf of Tianyumen, I promise Daiyu this condition. Since this is the case, you will take over the treasure house first. After a few days, we will naturally come back to find a real person." Wei Suo did not have any nonsense. After saying this, he took Ji Ya and Han Weiwei directly. The simple duo with the brain swept outside the Lingyu city. Seeing the real Ginseng with 4 people rushing out of the treasure pavilion and hovering around the treasure pavilion, the Tianyi monks who didn't know exactly what happened had dared not stop them, and could only leave Wei Suo and others to leave. After seeing that the figures of Wei Suo and others disappeared completely in sight, Tianchen real person smiled bitterly, shook his head, and did not know what to say, before turning to the mountain gate of Tianyimen. Flew back. Sect Master, how to decide this matter? A white stone inlaid with many white crystals, like a sterling silver carved in an unusually beautiful hall, sits with 15 monks. The monk sitting at the top looks like he is about 30 years old, and he is very handsome. He is wearing a silver robe that seems to be formed by the gathering of countless stars. It is Hanwei, the master of the Juxing sect. At this time, a long-faced old man wearing a red magic weapon covered with square holes of copper coins like runes. The old man's eyes are like electricity and his eyes are constantly flashing. It is Song Yang, the elder of the Juxingzong sect. The remaining 13 monks are also the most powerful elders of Juxingzong. Juxing sect, like many sects, also reads books *25*800 is based on cultivation. Except that the position of the Lord is the long-term observation and test of the previous Lord, the other monks, as long as they have reached if you divide your mind, you will automatically be promoted to an elder and enjoy the elder pension. And cultivation can achieve promotion to the elders of the elders hospital by reaching the 4 levels of the sub-idea, and can decide important things together with the patriarch. Ju Xingzong does not currently have Jindan monks, but there are 15 monks with more than 4 levels of thought, plus a magic weapon that has a deadly threat to Jindan monks. Over the years, it has been suppressing the Danjiao resort in the same city, and is in charge of the 7-star city. Now that the elders of all the nursing homes are gathering, it is clear that they want to discuss what happened today. Ju Xingzong was outside the 7-star city, but Wei Suo killed nearly 20 monks, and among them the elders of extraordinary thinking. This has never happened in Ju Xingzong for nearly 100 years. Hearing the words of the elder Song Yang at this moment, he looks handsome and has a majestic majesty, but he is extremely deep-minded. Hanwei did not speak. His fingers were on the armrests of the silver treasure chair he was sitting on. It seems to be thinking, and it seems to be waiting for something. Suddenly, outside this unusually beautiful silver hall, the voice of a respected disciple of Juxing sect was heard. The patriarch, elders, and Bai Suanji, the elder of Danjiao, ask for advice. Very good, finally here. Hearing this, Hanwei's finger on the silver armrest stopped suddenly, and a sneer appeared on his face. You bring Elder Bai directly here. The disciples obeyed the orders. The disciple outside the door immediately replied respectfully. Sovereign, you don't make any decision, you just have to wait for this. Bai Suanji, Song Yang, the elder of Juxing sect, frowned and couldn't help asking, is the sect master already agreed with Danjiao resort to deal with that? Is it human? The monk's magical power is at least comparable to that of Jindan's 2 cultivators. How could I make such a hasty decision? Hanwei waved to Song Yang, beckoning him not to be anxious. Cold Road, I naturally want to deal with this person, otherwise kill so many of us monks. Neither of the 2 sect gates can help but get a free repair. Say it, Juxingzong has no face, maybe there is nothing at all. The talented cultivation seedlings are willing to join our Juxingzong. But with our gathering of stars, I am afraid that there is no certainty to deal with this person. If you are not careful, you will be destroyed. However, Danjiao is more embarrassing and wants to deal with this monk, so he will definitely come to us to discuss. Whether or not to deal with this person depends on whether or not Danjiao Resort has any cards. If they do not have the strength to convince us, the gentleman will avenge his revenge, and it will not be too late. 10 years. The patriarch said so. Song Yang, the elder, looked at each other, and all nodded, then said nothing. It's just that, after the time that I don't have much time. Elder Bai is here. Only the voice of Bai Gong Baijing, a disciple of Ju Xingzong, rang, and then, wearing a white robe, the long hair behind his head became a braid. Bai Suanji came in from the entrance of the hall. Elder Bai, what happened to such a big event? Why didn't sect master Dong come over in person? Seeing Bai Suanji walk in, Han Wei's finger tapped on the silver armrest and asked directly, expressionless. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 432. Chapter 432 Forced Golden Core. A flash of purple light, Wei Suo's figure first appeared in the belly place of the place where Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun placed their residence. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. Huang Yazi and Han Wei and others are the first to get out of it. Ji Ya and Han Wei, as well as Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun, immediately swept out of the channel swept by Wei Suo and stopped by Wei Suo's. Our house After stopping, Zhen Chongming carrying Reverend Chang Feng and Zhu Xiaochun next to him suddenly mourned. The house that the two guys had not had time to collect was now being beaten up and turned into a ruin. There is a great treasure hole on the ground next to the secret place. It is the two sides of the cracked ground. Don't call it, clean up this place, first release the quiet room you have collected, I use secret place. Wei Suo took a look at Zhen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun, who didn't have much grief lust. They took a move and took out a Sayonara Ray flag, and a true Yuan sneaked in. At this moment, he stopped the mountain god blessings formation in the Little Night Mountain, so that all immortal slaying vine will be restored. If there is a cultivator outside the Night Hill, unless there is a special shapeshift great that can confuse immortal slaying vine. Otherwise it will be attacked by immortal slaying vine. Nice. Old great treasure, what do you say, go in the water, go in the fire. Upon hearing Wei Suo's command, both Chen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun immediately stopped mourning, quickly began to clean up the surrounding ground, and began to release the house in the treasure receiving pocket. Wei Suo nodded, his eyes slightly moving, and his mind-devouring bug got into the hole that was dug out by the two sides. Then, inside the cave, there was a sudden surging sound, which was obvious that he ordered mind-devouring bug to block the hole first. Xiao Yin, you go to the secret place in this cave and see if there is a cultivator that hasn't run yet. Remember not to go outside, or those immortal slaying vine will eat you. I will be back soon after I have made a turn. Seeing Wei Suo's move, Han Wei immediately said this to Primal Chaos Yunwei, who was next to her. Primal Chaos Yunwei, who was dressed up like a little girl, immediately nodded very spiritually. When the silver light flashed, she swept in a passage. Okay, enough. Seeing that Chen Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun had released two quiet rooms, Wei Suo immediately stopped two people. Then nodded to Han Wei and Ji Ya, and True Yuan wrapped Reverend Chang Feng and plunged into one of the quiet rooms. After plunging into this quiet room, Wei Suo sat down on a seat inside, throwing Reverend Chang Feng on the silver grass blanket not far from the secret place. Ji Ya seems to know exactly what Wei Suo is going to do, stretched out, took out a small white medicine pill, smashed a surging sound, pinched it, and then shook it, all pouring into the mouth of Reverend Chang Feng. In the nose. Reverend Chang Feng, you don't have to pretend to die. Even without this medicine pill, you should be able to speak. After looking at the inhalation of the powder, he still closed his eyes, and died with the General Reverend Chang Feng. Wei Suo sneered a surging sound. But Reverend Chang Feng still keeps his eyes closed, as if he didn't hear Wei Suo's at all. Why, didn't you hear me? Wei Suo was not angry, but turned to Zhu Chongming and Zhu Xiaochun and said, you have smashed his shapeshift great art and wrote the words Eastern Jade Paradise. Reverend Chang Feng. You don't have to run too much. Hanging him outside of Spirit Peak City is a must, and there should be a lot of cultivators to see that he is a real Eastern Jade Paradise Golden Core cultivator, not a fake. Nice. Old great treasure, what do you say is what you say, the water goes in the water, the fire is in the fire, but the old great treasure, I feel that the word is directly carved on him with a knife, bloody, more deterrent. Zhu Xiaochun and Zhen Chongming immediately went up and prepared to smash Reverend Chang Feng's clothes, and Zhu Xiaochun said this. Shishi cannot be insulted, I am defeated in your hands, to kill you to shave casually, you have to humiliate me like this, not afraid of having such a future in the future." Reverend Chang Feng, who had been closed for two purposes, suddenly opened his eyes and fired a surging sound, sternly shouted. "Can this blame me? If it's not your sect, bullying us, will I come to you for trouble?" Wei Suo glanced at Reverend Chang Feng with disdain. "Even today, I have given you more than one chance. I am dealing with you this way, and I am not killing them. It is already a person to stay in the line. Zhen Chongming, Zhu Xiaochun, just listen to yours, and use the knife to engrave directly. 4 golden core cultivators, plus Han Wei's star falling divine bow and feathered skylights, 2 sect elite disciples, elders, and even a sect like Heaven's first sect, should be able to go out. I didn't expect it. It will still be in your hands." When I heard the words of Wei Suo's, Reverend Chang Feng seemed to be suddenly deflated. His face was completely gray, and it seemed like he was 10 years old. "What do you want to ask?" I said. "It is you don't need to get these tools anymore. Just ask for your questions and give me a good time. In this case, as long as you are telling the truth, I will give you a good time." Wei Suo nodded, "No nonsense," and asked, "What about the other 3 golden core cultivators?" "The golden star second layer cultivator that was killed by immortal slaying vine was Reverend Diao Sha, and the name was irritated. True Yuan walked and broke heart arteries. The cultivator is Huang Yazi. These 3 cultivators are all rogue cultivators." Reverend Chang Feng said weakly. "There are any strong backgrounds for these cultivators?" Wei Suo asked. "These 3 are basically independent, and there is no special background for Admiralty and Reverend Diao Sha, but Huang Yazi is a man of great value. It seems that there are many trusted friends, many of whom are golden core stage cultivator," Reverend Chang Feng said, "but I just heard about it. As for what kind of life and death intercourse he has, what is the cultivation base of the naked body, I don't know. What about your sect master Dong Miaozhen? How did he never show up?" After Wei Suo indulged, he looked at Reverend Chang Feng and asked. "This time I used the power of immortal slaying vine. Killing is a painful killing, and I have a bad breath, but there are definitely countless sequelae, and the owner of this fact has never appeared at this juncture, which makes Wei Suo felt that lust was very unusual, and I was afraid that Dong Miaozhen was preparing something to deal with. He is in the retreat of culture, a work of shapeshift great art." When he heard the words of Wei Suo, Reverend Chang Feng was obviously stunned, but after a moment of squatting, he still bit his teeth and said, "Now he is not afraid of death, but he is afraid of endless humiliation." And almost all of the Thought Division realm cultivator in Eastern Jade Paradise has been completely re-emerged. It has become the second great treasure in the history of Heavenly Profound Continent. It must be declining, and Wei Suo must be the second Azure Reverend. Now Eastern Jade Paradise has more considerations and is of no use at all. Retreat culture transfer shapeshift great art? What is shapeshift great art? Wei Suo and Ji Ya and Han Wei heard that Reverend Chang Feng said that his eyes could not help but flickered for a moment. "Don't know," Reverend Chang Feng shook his head and smiled bitterly. "I only know that this movement, shapeshift great art, was discovered more than a decade ago in the small celestial dwelling of our shapeshift great art book at our Eastern Jade Paradise. It should be this cult foundation a stunning senior made a special means, left behind. But what does the naked body look like? Shapeshift great art, but only Dong Miaozhen knows. You are the only golden core great treasure cultivator in Eastern Jade Paradise. Identity is definitely not under him." Wei Suo's eyes flashed a look of unbelief. "You don't even know. Any sect has a lot of work. Shapeshift great art is a secret place. It doesn't happen. Only a specific disciple can be used, and my identity is not under him, but there is no shapeshift great art to force him. I don't know, it is normal thing." Reverend Chang Feng smiled bitterly, "but I know that shapeshift great art. Once cultivation is successful, his strength will definitely increase the magnitude of great treasure, and this movement shapeshift great art seems to require multiple spiritual roots cultivators together with cultivation. Need more than one spiritual roots cultivator together with cultivation. What do you mean? Wei Suo and Ji Ya are all slightly stunned. How about the naked body? I don't know. I only know that since the practice of shapeshift great art more than 10 years ago, many elders such as Bai Suanji have been searching for various spiritual roots cultivators. Just like the time when Ji Ya was married to Eastern Jade Paradise, it is said that Ji Ya is the spiritual roots cultivator. Reverend Chang Feng's gaze glanced at Ji Ya's body, and some weakly went on to say, not long ago, our Eastern Jade Paradise also found a rare thunder spirit root cultivator, and then he began to retreat cultivation. These should the spiritual roots cultivator is used in conjunction with his contribution, shapeshift great art. Like Bai Suanji and Dong Miao Zhen, he is closer, and he may know that he is slightly more than me. There is a need for multiple spiritual roots cultivator together with the contribution of culture's shapeshift great art. This kind of work, shapeshift great art, I have never heard of it at this time. Green-robed old man surging sound in Wei Suo's ear rang up, but you remember, Dong Miao Zhen also seems to dong some hatred of the appearance, seems to wish to be his son who is not a device to kill off, save you from threats, but they are also refrain from shooting in the rat for fear of breaking the vases, as if afraid Dong Miao Zhen what happened. Dong Miao Zhen is the wind spiritual root cultivator and should also be related to this shapeshift great art. It seems that this work is very difficult, but you have to be careful. When he heard green-robed old man, Wei Suo's look flickered for a moment, but his face was still a surging sound. Watching Reverend Chang Feng then asked, you Eastern Jade, how about Paradise's shapeshift great art array? You actually want to attack the gates of our Eastern Jade Paradise? Hear Wei Suo's this sentence, Reverend Chang Feng eyes suddenly filled with a look of shock, but immediately he calmed down again, powerless to say, we Eastern Jade, the gate is by our patriarch decorate green month great T Reger array. The attack may not be enough to kill golden core second layer third layer, but the defensive force is very alarming, can be trapped people. And it is filled with the whole valley. Even if you mix in, this array is launched, you are also to be trapped by countless green moon-like barriers. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 433. Chapter 433 Business Without Loss. Oh. So what do you know about the Star Convening Sect's Guardian Shapeshift Great Art? The foundation of Star Convening Sect is much deeper than our Eastern Jade Paradise. Their Guardian Shapeshift Great Art Array is a Star Great Treasure Array. This array is launched, and countless pieces of silver fall from the sky. Each the power is comparable to the Golden Core Third Layer Cultivator's Golden Core Sunlight Powerful Energy. The Vertex Novel is not a cultivation base above the Golden Core Fifth Layer. There is no shapeshift great art at all to block the powerful energy of the Star Great Treasure Array. Do you know about the shapeshift great art array of sect like Heaven's First Sect, Falling Moon Sect, etc.? Wei Suo looked at Reverend Chang Feng and then asked. Heaven First Sect's shapeshift great art array named Return to One, Falling Moon Sect's Mount shapeshift great art array called Eclipse Moon. These two great treasure the powerful energy of the re-array is not in the Star Convening Sect Star Shapeshift Great Art Array, and the array core of the Shapeshift Great Art Array is arranged in the Forbidden. There are special guarding the elders guarding, in addition to the sect master, the rest of the people did not do shapeshift great art access. Reverend Chang Feng gasped and replied. Wei Suo gave a slight indulgence. These answers by Reverend Chang Feng did not surprise him. He is also a long time in Sea Immortal section. It is clear that the strength of a sex cultivator and the powerful energy of the Shiniput shapeshift great art are not at all a thing. Because most of the great treasures of the Sharpshift Great Art Array are complemented by a sex innumerable high-level cultivator, some of these high-level cultivators are even more than the Golden Core 3/4 layer, and even the Divine Mystic Realm cultivator. Like Sea Immortal Sect, only Xuanhuan Old Ancestor had a Golden Core Stage Great Treasure cultivator, but many of the shapeshift great art arrays and restrictions powerful energy are completely more than the divine ability of the general golden core cultivator, including the great treasure part. It is Xuanhuan old ancestor without shapeshift great art layout, and no shapeshift great art is hard to break. A sectarian mountain gate is like the hardest tortoise shell. It is not the same thing to defeat the sect and kill the gate in the great treasure battle. Many of sect's shapeshift great art arrays even have the means to destroy indiscriminately. This is exactly the reason that many of sects have been completely degraded, and even the inheritance has been cut off. All cultivators have fallen, but the gates have also been the main reason left behind by ruins. Because many of these sects' strong great treasure arrays shapeshift great art, restrictions, not to mention other sect cultivators, even if their own sect present generation cultivator to destroy, they are completely destroyed. For Wei Suo at the moment, Dong Miaozhen is still a thread of great treasure. In addition to the roots, Wei Suo, the lowest cultivator in the Spirit Peak City, is naturally very clear, and for the work of Dong Miaozhen. Shapeshift great art, he is also very curious, but it is definitely not going to be a strong attack on the mountain gate. He can only think of his shapeshift great art. Reverend Chang Feng, the person, Wei Suo was originally prepared to ask some of the things he wanted to know from his mouth, and then directly broke it. Because although Reverend Chang Feng's golden core has been captured by him, his cultivation base and strength are not enough, but the golden core stage cultivator is a golden core stage cultivator. If he escapes, it may still cause a lot of trouble. But at the moment, Wei Suo thought about it, but changed his mind. Like Reverend Chang Feng, this 80-year, slowly built golden core great treasure cultivator, there are indeed many things to know, such as Wei Suo's green-robed old ma and know things although not know how many times than Reverend Chang Feng, but green-robed old man know is ancient cultivation world of things, and Reverend Chang Feng ji know are now things, and the most critical is Reverend Chang Feng or in this heavenly profound continent mixed great treasure, can be said to be the real Zhonglong. Know the surrounding cities a lot of things. And then Wei Suo must be mixed up in heavenly profound continent, and now Reverend Chang Feng suddenly becomes extremely valuable in the eyes of Wei Suo's. Reverend Chang Feng, you are a good person. After a slight indulgence, Wei Suo looked at Reverend Chang Feng without moving the sound. Why are we going to be an intercourse? A good intercourse, Reverend Chang Feng is staying for a while. What intercourse is easy? I have to deal with Eastern Jade Paradise, just to make a bad breath. When you and Heaven's first sect swallowed the rare treasure pavilion, and Li Xiahua dealt with us, we almost died directly in the shapeshift great art. The most important point is that Jia is my Dao companion, and your Eastern Jade Paradise has publicized that she has married Dong King II. This matter is not only related to Jia's festival, but also my Dao companion is yours. It is said that it is Dong King II's Dao companion of the second ancestor. This tone is for everyone who can't stand it. Wei Suo looked at Reverend Chang Feng. But I just have to breathe a sigh of relief and get what I want. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be killing when people want to kill me, I will kill him and chase and kill some low-grade cultivators, but I am not interested. And you know that after Heaven's first sect promised my conditions, I didn't deal with them. And you also understand that a cultivator like me, for the purpose of culture, does not stay in the heavenly profound continent zone. What do you mean by saying this? Reverend Chang Feng was very puzzled and asked Wei Suo. As long as you do your best to help me, when it's time, when I leave, I can not only let you live, but even return your golden core to you. Wei Suo gave a glimpse of Reverend Chang Feng. It doesn't take so many years, you can at least revert to the previous cultivation base. You give me the golden core. Reverend Chang Feng took a deep breath, but there was a sad look on his face. You must definitely deal with the shapeshift great art against Dong Miaozhen. The decline of Eastern Jade Paradise is inevitable. Even if you give me the golden core, I will revert to the previous cultivation base and use it. Do you want me to help you deal with Eastern Jade Paradise? Useless, we'll see about that. Wei Suo sneered a surging sound and said, I said that I just want to get what I want, and I don't have to kill Eastern Jade Paradise. Of course, Dong Miao Zhen. If I don't accept my conditions, I am sure it will deal with him. But even if I kill him and Eastern Jade Paradise's great treasure semi-cultivator, the gate of Eastern Jade Paradise is in, you get back to Golden Core, Eastern Jade Paradise is still a sect with Golden Core cultivator. And I can give you something, when Eastern Jade Paradise slowly recovers origin chi, it is not impossible. Thought Division Realm cultivator is completely degraded. Even if I give 1 or 2 pieces of Shao rank high grades shapeshift great art great treasure, how can I stop the decline of Eastern Jade Paradise? Reverend Changfeng lowered his head in powerlessness. 1 or 2 shapeshift great art great treasures can't, but if I arrive, I will claim that you have been 50 years old, Wei Suo said faintly. I am going to go to the south of heavenly profound continent after the war with you today. There are not many cultivators who dare to be enemies with me. When Star Convening Sect dies, you account for 7-star city. No one dares to deal with you within 50 years. Should you be able to recover some origin chi? Do you personally announce that we have kept Eastern Jade Paradise for 50 years, Wei Suo? As soon as this was said, Reverend Changfeng suddenly trembled and the surging sound trembled. Do you take it seriously? 1 or 2 pieces of shapeshift great art great treasure nature could not change the fate of a sect decline, not enough high-level cultivator, there is no shapeshift great art to undertake some business, no shapeshift great art to prevent cultivator in the city, shapeshift great art and other sect to compete for some genius great treasure. In the final analysis, this sect discus ple will be bullied, outside will cut off a lot of money, many earn spiritual stones path, will be other sect. Partition, sect disciple daily expenses, cultivation need, are not guaranteed. But there is a guarantee that the characters of the Golden Core stage great treasure cultivator are completely taboo, but it is different. If this kind of words are released, whoever dares to deal with this sect's disciple will be equito to be an enemy of this person. As soon as this battle spreads out, Wei Suo will definitely make heavenly profound continent almost impossible for all sect and cultivator to be enemies. Previously Reverend Changfeng felt that Eastern Jade Paradise was in decline, because even if Dong Miaozhen directly became the Golden Core second layer cultivator, there was no change in shapeshift great art at all, so he was so desperate, and his death was decided, but now suddenly heard that there is a chance to save sect's demise, his heart is suddenly different. Like his cultivator, which grew up in sect, sometimes it is more important than section. If sect is ruined in his own hands, he will feel that he is dead to the ancestors of all ages. I have always said a word, and we cultivator to act, there is no need to find a hard truth. The cultivation base is the last word. As long as you promised my intercourse, I will go to 7-star city and let go, saying that you and I have reached an agreement, but Dong Miaozhen has to pay for the rare treasure pavilion for the sake of self-interest, regardless of the interests of section in the world. The hypothesis is that Jia is married to Eastern Jade Paradise. At this time, I still don't know how to repent. From today, Eastern Jade Paradise is under your control. Wei Suo looked at Reverend Changfeng, heavily said, Eastern Jade Paradise will exist in this cultivation world in the future. Just look at Reverend Changfeng's choice today. Nice. I promise you this request. But I also have a condition. Reverend Changfeng took a few deep breaths and finally made up his mind. He bit his teeth. If we complete such an intercourse, after you get what you want, Eastern Jade Paradise, you should stop intervening. Our Eastern Jade Paradise can never be against you and your doorman forever, but your people can no longer deal with our Eastern Jade Paradise. I can naturally agree with this. Wei Suo looked at Reverend Changfeng and nodded. I don't have much interest in occupying a section. I don't have any interest, as long as you don't provoke me in the future. Nice. I promise you this intercourse is easy. Reverend Changfeng said the sentence as if he had exhausted all his strength. Good boy, Just use a short word, let a golden core cultivator give you the strength. By the time you are here, I am gone. As long as you don't die, people will still be afraid of you. If you don't dare to deal with Eastern Jade Paradise, you don't have to work hard, and you just don't die. As long as the cultivation base is higher, the more famous the precious treasure, the natural people will naturally not dare to deal with Eastern Jade Paradise. Your business is not doing a loss. The surging sound of green-robed old man sounded in Wei Suo's ear. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziwei. Chapter 434. Chapter 434 is Amazement. Just as Wei Suo felt that Reverend Changfeng was a very useful place, and when he talked about intercourse, the secret place in the gate of Eastern Jade Paradise was a very strange scene. Vertex novels, handwriting novels. I saw the middle of a great treasure hall, suspended with a giant ball of light. This great treasure hall is all white, and the white mist is white, giving a feeling like a fairyland. The ground of the great treasure hall is extremely brilliant, and it can clearly illuminate the reflection, and there is no patchwork. It seems to be polished with a whole piece of jade carving. The giant light ball suspended in the middle of this great treasure temple, the surface is crystal clear and transparent, but inside is a dazzling white light ray, like countless lightning, and these light threads are all from this giant. The surface of the light sphere is attached to a cultivator in the middle of this giant light ball. The face of this cultivator is Dong Miao Zhen, but its now naked skin has become translucent, the blue-green meridians are looming, and his hair is completely shaved, with a layer of bald head. The golden liquid, it seems that the liquid is still being injected into his naked body. Around the giant ball of light, there are 5 cultivators sitting on the plate. The 5 cultivators are the cultivators of the Thought Division Realm second layer, and they have a unique spiritual chi rippling, which is obviously a spiritual roots cultivator. When Dong Suo was hijacked by Wei Suo, Dong King Ai, who was half dead and half lived, was also among them. At this time, Dong King Ai is also the cultivation base of the Thought Division Realm second layer. It is only to look at his demeanor. It seems that the mind is still not changed by the special great treasure compared with 3 years ago. The 5 people, including Dong King Ai, are all very horrible and their faces are white. I saw that at regular intervals, the 5 people took turns to send a splendid light to shape-shift great art. The splendid light from these 5 people was all reddish and with a hint of blood. After a splendid light hit the giant ball of light, the crystal light on the surface of this giant ball of light immediately brightened a few points, and then the numerous white dazzling light threads that swam inside, immediately turned into a reddish color. After the time of interest, it slowly turned into a white gloss. And every such brilliance hits the giant light ball. The inside of Dong Miao Zhen is like a shock, and it gets a lot of secret places. It is very useful. As time passed, Dong Miao Zhen in the secret place giant ball suddenly squeezed his hands, and his hands were covered with a white light, and he shot on his head. I saw the golden light of the head of Dong Miao Zhen slamming into the top of his head. Then, the naked body of Dong Miao Zhen seemed to be transparent again, and it was inside the naked body. True Yuan and Qi and blood, the speed of the flow seems to be several times faster. Seeing such a lust scene, Dong King Ai and other 5 different spiritual roots of the cultivator face immediately showed a nervous look, and they were pinching, and they sent out a light red brilliance that was more than a few times longer than the previous great treasure. A more strange scene appeared. These 5 pieces of light-colored brilliance, like the shape of a wide knife, hit the giant ball of light. All the light threads in the giant ball of light became reddish, and all these light threads broke into the naked body of Dong Miao Zhen. Since Dong Miao Zhen's naked body is almost translucent at the moment, it is clear that these light threads seem to be condense a lot of mysterious rune after breaking into Dong Miao Zhen's naked body. These rune flashed in the naked body of Dong Miao Zhen, but within the naked body of Dong Miao Zhen, 15 groups of divine sea were immediately emerging. The 15th group divine sea seems to be spinning sharply, and it makes people feel dizzy when they look at the divine consciousness. Pa. In the clearing sound of the surging sound, the giant ball of light expanded nearly twice as much as the outer ball. At the same time, the 15 masses of divine sea brilliance that appeared on Dong Miao Zhen suddenly collapsed. At the same time, among the tens of thousands of niches in Dong Miao body, there was a little bit of light. And outside of it, there are also 5 roots in general. These 5 roots, like light and shadows, are all 5 spiritual roots phantoms, and they are different colors. They seem to be distinctly spiral, water, fire, wood, and thunder. The 5 spiritual roots phantom and the 5 spiritual roots cultivator have the same spiritual roots properties, because the 5 spiritual roots cultivators outside the giant sphere are wind spiritual root, water spirit root, and fire spirit root. Wood spiritual root and thunder spirit roots cultivator. Dong Miao Zhen was previously a single wood spiritual root cultivator. Is it now that with the help of the 5 cultivators, what is the use of shapeshift great art, which suddenly became a cultivator with 5 spiritual roots? That's it. Seeing that Dong Miao body has such a strange change, Dong King Ai and others outside the giant light ball first saw the eyes straight, and then the face was showing a happy look. But at this time, it is different. The 5 different Xuanhuan spiritual roots phantoms that appeared outside Dong Miao Zhen turned out to be like a hemp rope, twisted together. On the crystal giant ball of light wrapped around Dong Miao Zhen, a fine crack began to appear. No surging sound, no interest. I saw this giant light ball suddenly collapsed, a piece of crystal-like splendid light, all poured into Dong Miao Zhen's naked body. At the same time, the 5 spiritual roots phantom turned out to be all collapsed, and they merged together into a milky spiritual roots phantom, milky white spiritual chi. Heaven spirit root. One of the 5 cultivators sitting in the disc, one wearing a red robes of the fire attribute spiritual roots cultivator, saw such a scene, could not help but issued a surging sound, low surging sound, exclaimed. Now the spiritual roots phantom, the brilliance and appearance of Dong Miao Zhen, is very similar to the legendary heaven spirit root. But obviously it is not heaven spirit root, because heaven spirit root's phantom is similar to the ordinary spiritual root's great treasure, and the phantom of this spiritual roots is more great than the general spiritual roots. Doubled. This spiritual roots is obviously not heaven spirit root. In the astounding gaze of the 5 cultivators present, I saw all the brilliance, including the spiritual roots phantom. God lusts calm. Dong Miao Zhen slowly landed on the ground as a mirror. Dong Sect Master, is this immortal root 5 secrets already applying shapeshift great art? After a quiet time, a wood spiritual root yellow shirt cultivator couldn't help but ask. Yes, this immortal root 5 secrets is indeed a successful sharpshift great art. Dong Miao Zhen took a glimpse of the cultivator and said. Congratulations to Dong Sect Master, since shapeshift great art is over, is Dong Sect Master going to give us something for us? The wood spiritual root immediately said, hi. The rest of the spiritual roots cultivator is also the same face. The things that promise you are naturally not less. I will take those things out. Dong Miao Zhen said that there is no such thing as lust. Then, in addition to Dong King Ai, among the other 4 cultivator ecstasy eyes, only Dong Miao Zhen waved his hands, and several true UN points were placed on the bright white mirror jade ground below. As its true UN penetrated, the white jade stone suddenly appeared innumerable green light lines, and then a green light column emerged, and a red moon-like green splendid light was condensed in an instant. Dong Miao Zhen. You don't want to give us our shapeshift great art, great treasure and shapeshift great art. When I saw these green brilliance condenses, several cultivators responded to what was coming, and the face changed dramatically, and the shapeshift great art, great treasure was taken out. However, between the number of surging sounds, the shapeshift great art, great treasures of these cultivators were immediately under the impact of these non-stop green splendid light, and they burst into bursts. Father! What are you doing? Dong King I also issued a shocking surging sound. Because under the action of Dong Miao Zhen, these green brilliance turned out to be even the case of Dong King I, and it was necessary to kill Dong King I. Dong King I suddenly exclaimed in the surging sound. Dong Miao Zhen seems to have never heard of the general, looking up at the sky, no words on the surface without a word. In the screaming surging sound, I saw 5 cultivators including Dong King I, and my heart was simultaneously passed by a green splendid light. The tiger poison is still not eating, I was not your own child. After watching this sentence, Dong King I looked down and succumbed to death. But at this time, Dong Miao Zhen, who had been looking up at the sky, was suddenly moving. I saw that his hand suddenly shot a crystal-like crystal, split into 5 strands, and shot into the wounds of the 5 cultivator chests. True Yuan, which has already begun to collapse in the 5 cultivator naked bodies, was all drawn out and broke into the naked body of Dong Miao Zhen. All the true Yuan in the 5 thought division realm second layer cultivator naked body, all of them were sucked up for a while, and even the divine sea was completely exhausted. The naked body became the ordinary mortal body. Nothing different. After absorbing all the true Yuan in the 5 cultivator naked bodies, Dong Miao Zhen immediately swallowed several medicine pills again, and his body changed again. Science spiritual qi, a strong great treasure, pulled out from Dong Miao Zhen's naked body and rolled around his naked body. I don't know how long it took to condense the shape of a cyan bamboo stick. Immediately, more than 10,000 of his cockroaches seemed to suddenly open, madly swallowing the surrounding origin qi. Countless spiritual qi flows down from the top of the temple, and the top of the temple seems to be all polymerized with spiritual stones. Hong! Hong! The dazzling rays of the 2 groups rose from the top of Dong Miao Zhen. Golden core. It turned out to be 2 brilliants, the same great treasure cyan golden core. These 2 golden cores are all egg-like great treasures, and the light symbols flow, and they look more and more cohesive. It seems to be forming soon. Dong Miao Zhen actually condensed at this time. And how could he condense 2 golden cores? But at this time, a surging sound screams from his mouth. I saw the face of Dong Miao Zhen, and suddenly there was an extremely painful look. His hands were not consciously grabbed toward the head, as if his head was sorely cracked. After a while, after grabbing a lot of wounds on my head, I saw that Dong Miao Zhen turned out to be a surging sound. It turned out to be a hard-hitting pull of my left arm. After this, pulling down his left arm, Dong Miao Zhen's naked body shook, and it seemed to return to normal, and the painful look on his face was slightly reduced. Soon after, the 2 cyan golden cores suspended above his head were completely condensed. The sun shines, it seems that the core formation is a success. What's incredible is that now, outside 7-Star City, the world of origin qi is not a wave of special great treasure, it is not a production scenery that did not produce a cultivator core formation. After the 2 golden cores were completely stabilized, Dong Miao Zhen's eyelids jumped and opened his eyes. Seeing one's broken arm and seeing the corpse of Dong King I, there was a sigh of laughter on Dong Miao Zhen's face. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 435. Chapter 435 Beautiful Woman Immortal Pill. If you are not my biological son, I am not at heart demon backlash at the time of core formation. The apex novel is a novel. If my mind is still firm, I am afraid I will tear myself into pieces. Only the final step of this immortal Route 5 secrets is to draw your true UN. Compared with this cultivation base, even if it is a biological son, it is nothing. Dong Miao Zhen said to himself after a sentence, will own a broken arm picked up, 2 still suspended in his head cyan golden core on the rays, will include Dong King I and other people, including 5 spiritual roots cultivator all hit into fly ash, then will 5 people treasure receiving pocket all take up, then figure a move, swept out of this temple as if all is with high-grade spiritual stones polymerization of strange great treasure hall. I saw this great treasure hall, which is a secret place in a building like a temple. This building like a temple is square, covering an area of about a few hundred square feet. The outer part is a square paved with white jade. An egg-shaped water curtain covers all the buildings. It makes the building seem to have a feeling of being built in the water. When Dong Miaozhen, who was holding a broken arm, swept out of the building, he saw several pieces of Cyan's jade talisman, suspended in the water curtain facing the building. Just grabbed these pieces of Cyan jade talisman into the hands, divine consciousness swept away, and Dong Miaozhen's naked body swayed, his face suddenly became pale. So many things, this time I got rich. In the middle of the night in the cave, Wei Suo and Han Weiwei, Ji Ya, piled up a heap of great treasure. This great treasure pile of things, all are treasure receiving pocket, a variety of shapeshift great art great treasure, shapeshift great art. This time, Star Convening Sect and Eastern Jade Paradise gathered more than 150 cultivators to smash Wei Suo in the Night Mountain. As a result, only about 30 cultivators escaped. The things of the 120 or so cultivators are all in the hands of Wei Suos. And more than 120 cultivators and great treasures are mostly cultivators above Thought Division realm. These cultivators are almost all with treasure receiving pocket. There are now more than 100 treasure receiving pockets in front of Wei Suo, Han Weiwei, and Ji Ya. Before Han Weiwei collected these things quickly, it was not too great treasure, but now these things are taken out, together with the collection collected by Wei Suo, piled in front, so the number of great treasure, feel it is totally different. Han Weiwei picked up a Cyan mid-level treasure receiving pocket, and divine consciousness swept it out and took out a spiritual stones bag. Then she untied the spiritual stones bag and poured it down. The crystallic spiritual stones suddenly paved the ground. The seemingly different spiritual stones add up to at least 67,000 downscale spiritual stones. Han Weiwei didn't take out the rest of the treasure receiving pocket first. Instead, he grabbed 6 or 7 treasure receiving pockets and took out the spiritual stones bags in these treasure receiving pockets. After each spiritual stones bag was untied, a large number of crystal spiritual stones were poured out and slowly piled up on the ground. Wei Suo, it seems that you are not very good in these people's eyes. These people seem to treat you as a piece of meat that can be cut casually. Actually, there are many things to go out looking at these spiritual stones. Han Weiwei glanced at Wei Suo while his eyes were golden. Before Wei Suo participated in the Sea Hunting Assembly, Sea Immortal Sect, Bright Yuan Sect and Zai Wei Zong's 3 disciples, except for the necessary shapeshift great art, did not carry anything on the body, so as not to be killed by the other party. After that, it was cheaper. Only Ou Ranmen has nothing to wear. Now, the things on these cultivators are not a little bit less, and it is obvious that they are as fearless as Ou Ranmen. But this is no wonder that these cultivators, who would like to get 4 golden core stage cultivators plus 2 powers, will not kill a rogue cultivator. Wei Suo, this thing, seems to have been 2 sets of ancient great treasure. When the 2 pieces are combined, the power must be the true mystic rank. The surging sound of green-robed old man also rang. When you check things out, of course, you can't miss the shopaholic old man, otherwise he must be anxious with Wei Suo. At this moment, green-robed old man's figure is in front of Huang Yazi's heaven overflowing river scroll and watch it carefully. This heaven overflowing river scroll looks like it is made from more than a dozen kinds of silk threads. It has 3 colors of blue, white and yellow. It looks like a white background scroll, and it is a great treasure river with a huge wave. Set of shapeshift great art great treasure? 2 pieces, this one is just one of them? When he heard green-robed old man, Wei Suo's brow suddenly jumped. It should be no wrong. Green-robed old man clicked on a secret place of the Long River Sunset volume. This secret place has a two-piece set of shapeshift great art great treasures that control the shapeshift great art array. Wei Suo heard green-robed old man say that looking at the green-robed old man point, I saw the secret place, revealing some yellow mysterious rune. This ancient great treasure also has something that was at least 2 or 3,000 years ago. The other one should be damaged or left behind. Otherwise, the power of the two pieces together should have 3 pieces of Dao rank high-grade shapeshift great art great treasure. Green-robed old man saw Wei Suo, Han Weiwei, and Ji Yat. If this person is two-piece, then we will be less fierce this time. A mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure is equivalent to the powerful energy of the 3 pieces of Dao rank high-grade shapeshift great art great treasure. The old man, you quickly take us to find a few pieces of mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure. Han Weiwei immediately shouted at green-robed old man. The power of shapeshift great art great treasure, she will be the real naked body this time. There is powerful energy amazing shapeshift great art great treasure in the hands. Cultivator lower than the opponent many orders, can kill the opponent. Shapeshift great art great treasure above Dao rank is also very rare in ancient cultivation world. Mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure is also possible with golden core several cultivators. The cultivation world is 1000 years old. Can't get a few pieces. You should be a great treasure cabbage, you can find it casually. Green-robed old man suddenly rolled one's eyes. Now there is such a shapeshift great art great treasure that has been sent to the door. Then you said that you have to deal with Eastern Jade Paradise to take us to several places to explore. There is no mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure, then what is the meaning of it? Without mystic rank shapeshift great art great treasure, you might also have the material of shapeshift great art, medicine pill, or artifact refinement. Shapeshift great art great treasure is not the only way to improve the strength of the cultivator, and I have not said that there must be no, say maybe there will be one. Listening to green-robed old man and Han Weiwei bickering, Wei Suo and Ji Ya just looked at each other and kept picking up all the things in the treasure receiving pocket. The cooperation between the two people is very tacit, and the things that are taken out are put together by spiritual stones, offensive shapeshift great art, defensive shapeshift great art, medicine pill, and artifact refinement. Wei Suo is dedicated to the shapeshift great art great treasure shapeshift great art, while Ji Ya is dedicated to the medicine pill and artifact refinement materials. Seeing more and more things pile up, the front piles are like a few hills. Han Weiwei and green-robed old man are not fired at all, and they all look at the cultivator's treasure receiving pocket. Take out the things out. Ah, this is the sky white butt monster core, the level 7 mid-level monster core, my Xiaoyan should be able to eat. This is divine mystic iron. It is the master of divine mystic realm who can congeal out essence metal. Used to refine the shapeshift great art great treasure, the shapeshift great art great treasure will be amazingly strong. Whoa, this is the condensed grass, which is made into a gelatin lotion, which can make the skin more moist and more tender. A surging sound keeps ringing. These more than 100, equivalent to 2 sect all elite disciple and the cultivator of the elders, but there are indeed many, especially some older elders with great treasure. Things are more and more mixed. But suddenly I saw that the attention of Wei Suo, Han Weiwei and green-robed old man was concentrated in the hands of Ji Ya. Because of a unique fragrance, it was exhaled from the hands of Ji Ya, and it was filled with the entire quiet room in an instant. Among the white jade pill bottles in Ji Ya's hands, there are 3 white plums like jade, longan like great treasure medicine pill. The brilliance of the 3 medicine pills is faintly formed into the shape of a white flying fairy. Beautiful woman immortal pill. Quickly picking up pill bottle and seeing it, green-robed old man's eyes suddenly bulged and suddenly called surging sound. Beautiful woman immortal pill, what is this medicine pill? Ji Ya's face is also full of shocking look. I feel that the medicines of these 3 medicine pills are as amazing as a prison. This is really a great treasure. Who is this treasure receiving pocket? There is such a medicine pill. Green-robed old man gasped, Beautiful woman immortal pill is ancient Cha level heaven medicine. One has a stunning pill chi, is used to promote cultivation base. In simple terms, this is the primal chaos yun way of the same thing, but the spiritual chi of this thing is not as pure as the pith, and can only be female cultivator refining. This medicine pill Wei Suo you cannot use, but just have Ji Ya and Han Wai Wei to use, but this medicine pill, it is said that one person can only refining one. It is useless to take it again. Heaven level medicine pill, Han Wai Wei immediately took a breath, and she was an alchemist. Of course, it is clear what the heaven level word stands for. Only the female cultivator can be refining, and only one can be refining. So weird, but at the same time she could not help but curious to ask this sentence. The prostitute is a sect with only a female cultivator. It is said that the female cultivator of the prostitute must be completed. The unique secret place of the work of shapeshift great art, which is the work of the prostitute, is that when the life essence is exhausted, the shapeshift great art can be used to condense a virgin bead similar to the relic. Thought division realm third layer the above mentioned prostitute door female cultivator, the condensed virgin beads can be used to refine this beautiful woman immortal pill. The virgin beads below the thought division realm third layer can also be used to refine other ranks medicine pill, which can double the speed of the culture. Green-robed old man, watching Wei Suo and Han Wai Wei, Ji Ya explained, because this work is very strange, the cultivator of a prostitute can die and pass on some of its cultivation base to disciples, the newcomer of the prostitute, so the strength of this prostitute is also very amazing in the ancient cultivation world. Ranked in the great section it's just because this part of the work, shapeshift great art, needs to complete the secret place, and later it also caused a singer of the singer, who needed to collect primordial yin cultivation. Later, two great treasures fought, although the Fan Yuan zone thoroughly was annihilated, but the prostitute's door was also dead and wounded, and eventually it slowly declined.